Welcome, everybody, to today's session. Today, we are speaking about strategies for personal and professional growth. And before everyone starts reflecting, I'm going to say a few words. I am Tolu Amadi, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you to this live session. I am your efficiency, tech, and lifestyle coach. So, whichever one resonates with you, that's who I am. Okay, so today we're going to just go into an incredible journey together, focusing on unlocking the immense potential that lies within each of us. So come in, welcome in. And whether you're aiming to scale new professional heights or seeking to enrich your personal life, I'm here to guide you through the essential strategies that will empower your journey. So we have lots to discuss today, so just sit back, listen in, come in. You can ask questions in the chat. So one of the things that I even want answered is, what are some of the strategies that you've adopted for your personal or professional growth? So whichever one resonates with you, I'd love to hear about it in the chat, and go ahead, talk about it. Okay, I'll just wait for a few minutes so everyone can circulate and we can start. So again, I am Tolu Amadi, your tech, lifestyle, and efficiency coach. So whichever one resonates with you, that's who I am to you. So again, I'm going to be talking today about strategies for personal and professional growth. So welcome in. And first thing I want to cover today is just, setting the foundation for growth. That's a really huge um, topic that's of really great importance. Like, how would you set the foundation for growth? Um, so, one thing that I want to suggest would be, actually, I have three things, not one thing. But one thing that I want to suggest is just understanding your unique potential. So, what makes you you, and what makes you stand out? So, that's how you first set the foundation for growth. Because if you are working with your weaknesses as opposed to your strengths, then that doesn't really help you stand out. So use your strengths to grow your weaknesses. How would you approach whatever situation you have in front of you with the strengths that you have? That's really understanding your unique potential. So once you understand that, you set the number one foundation for growth. Number two is, it's something that every one of us know, and that's the power of setting clear, achievable goals. So again, it's the power of setting clear, achievable goals. So the way we explain it is, everybody knows the word quote unquote smart, right? And we all know it has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be achievable, relevant, and time bound. But what a lot of people don't know is how to make it specific, measurable, achievable. This just seems like a rhetoric phrase that is left with all of us. So let me explain it again in a much simpler term. Say, for instance, you have a goal, and that goal is to enhance your professional networking skills. Would you just go, and then, because you're enhancing, then you just go into every single networking event and you're enhancing? That doesn't make it specific, that doesn't make it measurable, that definitely does not make it achievable, because really, how many networking events can you go to? It also doesn't make it relevant, right? Because it might not might or might not be relevant to what you're trying to achieve, right? And also, it wouldn't make it time bound, right? If you just say that, meaning like, when are you going to stop? Is there another goal that you're going to achieve? So, this is how you want to look at it. So, now let's rephrase that goal again and give it a different feel to it. So instead of saying you want to enhance just your professional networking skills, how about saying I want to expand my professional network to include, let's say, key influencers and leaders within my industry to enhance my career opportunities and industry knowledge? That seems like it's so much more specific because now we now know that you're looking to include key influencers and leaders within the industry that you are in, right? And that makes it specific. Now, how do you make it measurable? This same enhancing professional networking skills. Well, how about you say that you're aiming to connect with a certain number of industry professionals and have in-depth conversations with at least 10 of them. So even though you're connecting with 30, but then you want to measure by 10. So it's almost like having a sales call and you say you're going to have, you're going to pitch that sales, and within a pool of, let's say, 300, you get, let's say, one third of that. What would that be? That would be about 30. And then 10 of them would probably be something that would drive home the sales. So that's really how you can look at it. And sorry, I use sales here, but if you're in business, then you understand what I'm talking about. Or if you're a sales person, for sure. And then achievable would be, to achieve this, I will attend at least two industry specific networking events or webinars. Notice that it is not any type of event, because in any type of event, you won't meet your industry specific people there. So it needs to be like to industry specific networking events so you can at least gather the targets within that industry specific event and then meet them during that period of time. And then there's relevance, like expanding your professional network will expose me to, let's say, new opportunities, insights, trends within the field, directly contributing to my career development and positioning me as a knowledgeable professional in my industry. So that's very like, that would expose you to new opportunities, and that's very relevant, right? So it's not that you are going into a big pool, not industry specific, and then you're trying to connect, right? So time bound would be, I plan to accomplish this within the next 6 months and starting from, let's say, right now or starting from next week. So we all know that it is time bound. Within 6 months, this is what you should achieve. So that means every single week you should be, there should be like, or every single month that you should have at least six networking events, or let's say minimum three networking events that you would attend, one for each week. And you would attend that, you would make the connection, um, you know, and that's how you make the goal smart, right? So, yeah, so that's really what it is. Nonetheless, we've just said, that this goal needs to be smart, but if you've made on smart goals, why not try again? Um, and see what you can achieve this time. So that's just my pointer for you. And the last thing on this is just embracing a mindset of growth and resilience. So how do you do that? How do you embrace a mindset of growth and resilience? I would say one way to do that is just being persistent, being very disciplined in what you do. Resilience also means most times not giving up. So 98% of the time, you don't give up. And sometimes, if you do say, okay, let's let it go for a bit, come back to it. There was something I applied for, like, let's say 3 years ago. Nothing came out of it. But after a couple of years, I went back and then I tried again and then it worked. So if it didn't work this time, try again. Okay, so those are all the 3 pointers that I have for you, especially when it comes to building that foundation for growth. Now let's talk about overcoming barriers. There's always going to be obstruction barriers. Maybe you're not qualified, you don't have that certification, you're not there yet, right? So there's always that, and it can always be apparent. But how then do you overcome it? So first things first is, you need to identify that this is a barrier, and um, so once you're able to identify that, now work through steps to be able to overcome it. Ask questions, see what's available. That usually will help you with going the extra mile and overcoming that barrier. Another thing is just learning from your failures. So most times when I would apply for proposals, I would go back and ask, so what could we have done better? And they would just say, oh, well, maybe you should work on the pricing, or maybe you should work on someone bid a little smaller. Um, Someone bid a little smaller. So, and that's why we went with them, or they have experience working with this real estate. So that's why we went with them. And for me, I just say, I mean, the way I've even approached tech as a generalist is anytime someone told me that I didn't know something, I'll go into the system, like, what's even in this system? Um, and then I figure it out in less than 5 minutes. So it's just, seeing what they're saying and then seeing how you can actually infuse it. Sometimes when you say, oh, I've never used this system, but however, I used the other system, that system, this system, and they still say, oh, no, you don't have experience. Trust me, those experience things do not matter. Um, it doesn't matter. I've also been in a situation whereby I've been tested, and they would tell me, and I mentioned to them after, and a certain like call, consultatory call after a proposal, that I didn't know how to use the system. However, I know I generally have an idea of how things could be integrated into that system. So then they send me a text, and then they say, test it out. We want you to be able to do this. They had three things for me to be able to do within a space of 1 week, and they would pay me for it. And then I'm like, okay, well, first things first, let me even go into that system, because it didn't, all the three things that he told me to do, I could do it in my sleep, because I eat, breathe, those things like integration, automation. Doesn't matter what system, I will know. As long as your system is friendly, I will figure it out. And so I went in, and then I pretty much did the test. Um, I didn't ask for any extras, like the extra fees that they had mentioned. I just told them, see, thank you for your email. And I did it within the space of like 2, 3 hours. I just said, thank you for your email. However, the 1, 2, 3 thing that you had mentioned for me to do, I've done it. Here's an example. And then I open the Figma file. I show it to them. It was linked. It was, the designs were linked and connected to the system they were going to use it to. And that really just made everything work out. Picture this scenario where, even though you've really not used that system, and then they give you a test like that, instead of you going further to figure out, okay, how do I make sure that at least I learned the ropes here, then you just said, oh, I'm sorry, I like I said, I've not used this system before, so I couldn't, and that's where it just the ball just gets dropped, right? So it's either you respond to what's going on in a more positive and I can do attitude, or it's either you respond to it in a I can't do attitude. So it's up to you to pick what you want to do in terms of overcoming obstacles, right? So another thing that I would just leave with you under overcoming obstacles is some strategies to just maintain motivation and focus. Like, say for instance, this story about how I had been given a test, and that test could potentially even lead to them paying me to get some things done. and I did it anyway in record time. And, you know, one thing that I did to make sure that I checked on it is like, okay, well, I do know the basics, I do know the foundation. So anytime you want to motivate yourself, always motivate yourself with what you know. Based on what you know, how can you apply it to what you don't know? And that usually would help. So that's one thing you need to do. Just apply what you know to what you don't know and then see how that could help. Easy way to understand this is, yes, I can, and just this is for lack of better example. Say something like, yes, I can read, and yes, I'm really very analytical, and you see some data, you're looking at it, but you don't quite understand it. Then you take that data and you start analyzing it more, and then you realize that what the data is saying, and you have your information. So that's how it is. But then if you say, oh, I've never been to data before, I couldn't, I wouldn't, I can't, that just puts you in a different footing. So make sure that at every single point in time you're positive about what you're doing, you're taking those steps, and you're motivating yourself based on the steps that you're taking, based on the things that you know, and based on how you would your strengths and not your weaknesses. So let's talk about practice some practical steps to personal development. And one that I would recommend is just your daily habits, discipline. You know, have discipline. Those things foster a lot of personal growth. Self care. Once you are of sound mind, it does help with you know fostering personal development and mental health in achieving success. And number three, continuous learning. Never stop learning, adapting to change. When I graduated from university at that time, I just knew that the only way I could adapt to change, just based on what we've been seeing out there in the world and how the economy had just fluctuated up and down from when we started to when we ended, was constant learning. Doesn't matter what you're learning. Take a Udemy course, take a LinkedIn learning course, um, even go back to school. If that's going to help you develop to where you want to be, do it. Right. And that's just divine, especially when you learn, you know so much more. You can apply based on the learning that you have, and then you just stay current on the trends, right? So now let's look at the fourth thing on my list, which is achieving personal professional excellence. One of the ways to do that is networking. There are so many ways to network, and mind you, if you're a remote person, you can still network. Stay open to a lot of communities that's networking. Building meaningful professional relationships. One thing I did, like I said again, I've been saying it now that I've been in business for 10 years. Nobody would believe me. But since 2014, I have been in business and I have seen a lot of things. And from then on, some people come into business and they just think that I just popped out of nowhere. No, I did not. I've worked hard for everything that I have. I've put my head down in the game. That's probably why you haven't seen me anywhere, because I focus very well on work. I have built a lot of businesses around, um, and they are thriving. They are doing really well. I'm excited for how much that they have achieved and also how much that I have achieved. But then at the same time, even though at that time period, I never took the step to, like, let's say, do physical networking and all that. Um, Even a lot of the remote work that I did include a lot of networking in that way, where I joined communities, conversed with people, coached people, did business clinics, did workshops. So a lot of people know me. A lot of people know me, and sometimes when I go out now, people are just seeing me for the first time in person, right? So, and that's how it is, right? So just leverage networks, build global connections. My goodness, you don't know how. how like miraculous that could be, just building global connections, because they help you in ways that you don't know. People that you don't know help you more than sometimes even the people that you know. So build global connections. Look beyond the community that you know to other communities, and then see where there's some synergy. And you'll be surprised what happens with things like that. So just be open minded in everything that you do. Another thing, again, for achieving professional excellence, leverage technology. This is not even a joke anymore. If you are there and you're a business and you're still insisting that your location is the only location that's good enough for business, please, 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 this is more like a warning. If you keep doing that, you're going to go out of business. And I don't, anytime I say someone's going to go out of business, I end up seeing them go out of business. So please, I'm begging you, try to digitize, try to transform, try to automate things, try to make sure that the products you're selling in stores are also online. I can give you a case study. I don't know if I've shared this before, but if I have, please listen again. It is a case study of, I think it's either Singapore or China. I was reading a documentary of it. And one thing they said that is that there is a big mall, and I'll keep telling this story because this story is fascinating in a sense that there is a big mall in China, but nobody comes to that big mall. However, the people in that mall make billions of dollars every year. I've heard of it. I have even seen it sometimes on TikTok when people are purchasing their products through the TikTok lives. So if you do not digitize, you don't have your products online, you're not on social media, you're not using things like TikTok Shop to drive traffic to your website, or you don't even have a website, then I'm seriously, just start closing your business. That's all I can say. If you don't have your inventory done, if you don't even, or let's leave your inventory now because that does take time. That could take up to a year. But if you don't have a website where you're selling things and you can add your goods onto it, then I'm telling you that you're going to be in trouble very soon. So please, please digitize. Don't rely on just location. Even if you're a saloonist, make sure that your customers are using your online booking system. If they tell you, this is something that I used to try to do with restaurants that would like to transition with me to digitizing, I'll tell them that if someone books or orders through their phone line, they should charge them a fee. And you've seen it even with airlines, they will charge you a fee for using their concierge. However, if you go online and book yourself, you're not going to get charged. So why they know what they're doing, because obviously they want you to start using the tools, the technology and everything they have there, and so that they can have more time to deal with um other core things to deal with. So just make sure, as a business owner, as a professional trying to start off online, please don't do things manually. Please, please, even if it's a Google form you have, even if it's something very simple, start digitizing step by step. You can always improve, but just start digitizing step by step. This is not, this is like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, for now, take this as a sense of urgency. If it's something that you haven't been doing before, or if it's something you've not been thinking about and you're saying, let me get through this thing first, please don't get through this thing first. Please, please, please. The way to innovate is to not get through that thing first, is to do while you're getting through that thing first and get it done out of the way. But if you don't, you're going to be in big trouble. If you're waiting for vendor markets every single time, you're going to be in big trouble real soon. Vendor markets will only take you so far. And number one, remember that you have to take care of yourself. Remember that you have to take care of your health. So you can't always be in vendor market showing up every time. Yes, you can hire somebody, but we all know what's going on with labor shortages. So the first thing you need to do, always try to digitize. Even if now you go to vendor market, start leading, sieving people into your website. Start learning the ropes of your website. Please don't say that technology is not good for you. If you say that, you're setting yourself up for failure without anybody else talking to you. If you're an engineer, if you're a business owner, you already know the ropes. All you need to do is click that button and you'll be good. So this is just my call out there to say, please digitize, please automate. Um, at this point, I don't even think I should be saying please. I think that people should be looking for ways to do that. Business owners should be looking for ways to do that. Leverage technology and innovation for your professional advancement, your career advancement. This is so important. Use LinkedIn. Use LinkedIn as your guide. Get a coach. Get like an automation consultant, a consultant that will come into your business for the next 9 to 12 weeks, tell you what you need to do, and give you all that. And hire people, even if you don't have people that you can work with, but hire students. There's a way to get students now, even in Canada. So make use of it. And if you need help, just send me a DM. I'll be happy to help. And effective leadership and communication skills for today's dynamic workplace. So just be more effective in your leadership. And when you lead, you're not just leading to say, go do this, go do that, but you're leading to pass on what I just told you about innovating, communication, design a structure that would allow others to be able to see that you're not just trying to do this alone, but you're trying to involve them in this, right? Explain clearly to them how this will be very useful for the team, for everybody, and it will make their lives much easier. First, you can start off with the things that they even hate to do around the shop, and then figure out how you can use that to your advantage. And maybe, let's say, figure out how to digitize with those things that they hate to do around the shop, and you'll see how effective that goes. So, for instance, if you're looking at your returns and exchanges, and a lot of the shop owners don't like to do this, you can have a reward system that would reward customers when they come in to drop off, like when they return they do a self-service return. This is just an idea that probably is not being done right now, but it's just something that could be done. Or for instance, you can look at shopping online. If they shop online, you give them 5% off, but if they come to the store, that 5% off is not available. So things like that, incentives you can put on the customers, on even your store, the store people, so that at least they know how important automation is. So gamified, leveraging technology so that it's easier to adopt it. So I just want to remind you that the journey to personal and professional growth is ongoing and filled with learning opportunities at every turn. So if you've been listening to today's session, just know it's a step to embracing a life of growth, resilience, and fulfillment. I'm here to support you any way you can, any way I can, not any way you can. I can, and to inspire you, to guide you as we all strive to grow in our lives. And thank you for joining me today. And remember, the path to success is paved with perseverance, dedication, and a willingness to grow. So let's take these insights and strategies and apply them to our lives, ensuring we're not just dreaming of a better future, but actively working towards making it a reality. So stay tuned for our next session where we'll dive into how to learn, grow, and thrive. So stay tuned for next session, which is next Saturday. And thank you for listening. Bye bye.